Hello, my name is Abna Sewa and I'm the editor of AKADi Magazine, and welcome to the Identity series, which is a collection of profiles that explores what it means to be Ghanaian. I'm joined by Sandra Amoako, who is the founder of Alikobooks, a publishing company that produces children's books written in both Asante Tree and English. The books are part of the What's That series and supports a child's ability to bilingually learn the alphabet, numbers, and also reading. It has been identified as a critical component when we talk about identity. So I'm grateful to Sandra for joining us today and sharing her knowledge and experience of why developing these books have been so important. So welcome, Sandra.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us more about why you felt it was necessary to develop these books.
Well, I started the Alikobooks in 2009. I actually started with a cookbook, and then forward a couple of years, I was pregnant with my first son, and I wanted to teach him. My vision has always been to teach my children how to speak Twi as they get older. And so during my pregnancy, I visited family in Ghana, and I looked everywhere. I went to a lot of bookstores, and I couldn't find any bilingual children's books that also had the local language. Everything was either in English or in French. And so that kind of inspired me to start this journey to basically produce a book that families like me could use, especially in the diaspora, use to teach their children, at least to start the journey to teach their children Twi.
Well, that's a big step. Do you have an educational background? Like, are you a teacher?
No, I'm not. I just did it from experience. I just basically wrote the book how I would want to teach somebody how to speak, or in this case, my children, how to speak the language. So I don't have an educational background, but I just did a lot of research, bought a dictionary in Twi, and just kind of used that to help me guide me into producing this book.
Okay, so what would you say sets Alikobooks apart from what's on the market? And I know that you've already explained that there wasn't anything quite like this, but there are other bilingual books available in other languages.
So between then and now, I've seen a few bilingual books in Twi and English, but for the most part, when you Google Ghanaian children's books, a lot of them are storybooks that an older person has to read to a child, like a Nancy story or something like that. And in terms of my books, they focus more on the fundamentals, learning numbers, alphabets, and the start of vocabulary. And that's kind of what differentiates my books from the other books on the market. They're also illustrated. If you do find any books that are bilingual, most of them do not have illustrations. If they do have it, they're not in color. So we have paperback or hard cover books, colorfully illustrated, that show both the English and Twi versions of that letter or number. And it's just more very interactive, even with our coloring books. So I also did a coloring book version of the early learning books that allows the parents to interact with the children. For me, my experience, my children always love to show me their coloring when it's done. I think every children love to show off their artwork. And so having that early learning in a coloring book version allows the kids to interact with the parents, but also the parents to interact with the children and ask, oh, what is that you're drawing? Or what is that you're coloring? And they can answer both in Twi and English. So that's kind of where I think Alikobooks, the What's That series, kind of steps it up a bit from the other books on the market.
And I think that's what appealed to me when I found out about your books, basically, because if you look at the book and you open it up, you've got, say, the letter A, and you've got the word in English and the word in Twi, and you've got the picture. So it's right there in front of you. You're not having to refer to find out what the Ghanaian version of that word means. Exactly. And I kind of like, I've not seen that structure before. So for me, when I look at that, I'm wondering if that was one of your sort of aims, because you've kind of laid it out in one place for the child to, yeah. So that was a conscious thing.
Yeah, it was a conscious, sorry. Yes, it was a conscious thing, because I didn't want to go back and forth Even with the dictionary that I looked at, there was always a back and forth. Everything that I looked at, it was back and forth. So I wanted it to be easy for the parent when teaching the child, and also for the child to easily refer to the other language words. So if it's English, they can look at the Twi word and vice versa. But I wanted that easy access, easy to learn manner.
And then also you talked about color being really important, and also I guess the shapes. And in terms of the age group that you're targeting, could you tell us who that is or what that is, and then also the colors and the shapes and how you've kind of developed it to support that learning?
So every family is different, and I think for me, and I can show you.
Yeah, show us.
Yes. So here's an example of out here. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah.
All right. So here is number 4 and then number 5, just as examples. And this is basically geared towards early learning, and it depends where you want to start your kids reading. I started mine from 6. And obviously they're not learning the language, but they're looking at the pictures and just repeating the words is how they start to learn. And so for me, it was about bright colors, because kids love bright colors, children love bright colors. And then with this example here, you have the 4 ducks. So you have it both in English and then the Twi version. So you have 4, which is a 9, and then the English version is 4. And then we see here you have ducks. So as a parent, you say, look, 4 ducks. Baako, mienu, miensa, and 9. 4 ducks. Double, and 9. So that's kind of how I structured it, so the parents can easily switch between the English and the Twi, and it will stick faster. It will stick easier with the children. Same here with Anka for oranges. So that's kind of how I structured it with the numbers book. And with the alphabet book, you can see here that, so we have English and Twi letters on each page, right? So you don't, it's not just W and then you have both the English and the Twi is 2, each page has a W, one for the Twi word, one for the English. And you can see that we have the different images, but at the bottom, we also have the opposite language. So over here, W for Wache, which is 8. And then at the bottom here, it says 8. And over here, W is for window. We have an image of a window. And then at the top here, bottom, sorry, says Empoma. So it's easy for the parent to go back and forth, and the children are not only learning the alphabet, they're learning new words as well. So that's really the structure.
No, that's really, really good. There's 2 things that I noticed in that. When we're speaking Twi and English, we put the description at the end. So you had the ducks 4, but we would say 4 ducks in English. So I remember when I was learning Twi as an adult, I was always doing it the English way. So I would say, I'd use the adjective and then the noun, but in Twi it's the other way around. So it's almost like you're guiding the child early on that structure is different, the syntax is different for Twi versus so I feel like you pack in, it doesn't look packed, but you pack in a lot of these sort of subtle things that somebody who's learning the language later on is just going to get confused about, because we're using the sort of English structure to learn the Twi language. So I really like that.
Thank you. Yeah.
There was another thing you mentioned about coloring in. So you have a coloring in book.
Yes. So I have the same version of the ABC and the 1, 2, 3, but it's just a coloring version. So here again we have the letter S. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah.
So we have S for Safwa, and at the bottom is Key.
Yeah.
And then S for Spider, and at the bottom is Anansi. So this is a chance where the child or children can color in anything they want. But then here is a chance for the parent to go and say, oh, that's a great, image that you colored. What is this? Where are they? And then the child can say Safwa, or they can say spider. But then in this case, they're learning 2 different words in 2 different languages. And they can also see the opposite language version, Ki, and then Anansi as well. So it's it can color anything,
And do you think that because they're spending time colouring, there's a lot more engagement with that same content as opposed to reading it and then going on to another page? And does that help for it to stick more?
Yes, I think the coloring helps to stick more, because for me, again, and I do all these things based on my experience. Like I said, I don't have an educational background in terms of being a teacher, but I just took everything from how my children picked up what I was teaching and how I was teaching them, and I just used that and focused it in the book. And for me, I noticed that when they were coloring either this book or any other coloring book for that matter, the vocabulary stuck better when they were interacting with me, trying to show me, oh, look, this is what I colored. Look at the colors. I colored inside the lines and not outside. And then I'll, that was a big achievement.
Yeah.
And just asking them, oh, what is that? What is that person? What are they doing? But then in this case, I'm asking them in tree, and then it just sticks better. So I find that interaction with the coloring books even helps even further. To retain the knowledge they're learning as a bilingual book.
Okay. And you did mention that I think you started teaching, is it one of your children at the age of 6, so not when they were born? Or could you?
No, I started around close to 10 months. So it was before they were 1. But then even before I had done the book, I was just showing them and teaching them the language. So I'll say something in English, and then I'll say it in Tree, and I'll say it in English again. And that's basically how they picked it up, even before I'd done the first book. So basically repeating myself. So I almost sound like a parrot sometimes. I just repeat myself over and over again in the same word, same language, same sentence, different languages. And then they eventually got it. So that's how I started, yeah.
So that takes a lot of discipline. And I know from some Ghanaian parents that I've spoken to, in the morning when you need your child to get up, you don't have time to be repeating the word in a different language. So you just say it in the one that they'll understand, because you don't have time. Yeah. So how have you been able to sort of get past that?
Well, it is hard. I have to tell you, sometimes I do fall off the wagon, because like you said, sometimes you just want to, hurry up, we're late, we have to go for school to drop off, so on and so forth. So you say it in English, but then you have the rest of the day, hopefully, to catch up, or even the weekend. Right. So there are times where maybe I'll slip for a couple of weeks, and then I'll get back on track. But even on a weekend, I'll, like today, I'll get up and say, what would I say this morning? I don't know. I can't remember. I'm sorry, but they're still sleeping. It's Saturday morning. But I'll say something. If I didn't do it for a couple of days during the week, on the weekend, then I'll push even harder to just do it, so it sticks. So it's fine if you don't do it for a couple of days, or even if you miss a month, but just always try and get back on the wagon and just kind of start again, because the kids soak up everything. So even if you don't do it for a month or 2, or even 6 months, trust me, you can come back and they'll retain everything. Because between now and when they're like, in the teens or whatever, it's just, everything is a sponge. They're just soaking up everything.
So were you concerned that maybe they wouldn't be able to speak English, or, this might, because that's another concern of, our community, if they teach the traditional indigenous language?
No, I wasn't concerned, because I'm the minority in terms of the language, right? They're surrounded by English. Wherever you are, if you're in England, the US, Sweden, wherever, you're surrounded by that native language. So there is no issue with them not speaking that other language. It's rather the opposite, because you're trying to force, in my case, I'm the only person in my household speaking Tree. So I'm surrounded by English. So I'm trying to break through that. So it's hard for them to, it's hard for me to kind of compete with the English speaking, but I always try. So I don't think it's an issue for parents. They shouldn't worry about the children not being able to speak the English. It's rather the opposite, because if it was Ghana, it would be different. But because you are in the diaspora, I don't think it's an issue.
Okay. And so now your children are 6 and... I've got 6 in my head. 6 and 8. Are they fluent?
6 and 8, yeah.
Are they fluent?
No, they're not. They understand. They understand, but they don't speak as well. Yeah,
but they can speak.
They speak in bits, but they understand more. So I speak to them fluently and I speak fast, as you can see, which they get. But then returning it, most of the time, unfortunately, they speak back in English, but I'm forcing them to speak back in Twi. So we're getting there.
And
but
have
they
they
definitely
been
understand.
okay? And have they been to Ghana, or when they're surrounded by the community, because you're in the US? Like,
Yeah, they've been to Ghana a couple of times. My oldest has been obviously more than the youngest, but they've been a couple of times, and I try to surround them with a lot of Ghanaian culture. Like in the beginning, we used to also watch YouTube channels where the people are speaking Twi. So even if I wasn't home and it was just my husband and the kids, they were still listening to the language. We will look at pictures from back in the days in Ghana, or we'll talk to family on WhatsApp or Signal. So I always try and surround that culture, surround them with that culture wherever possible.
Yeah.
Because again, because you're overseas, you are surrounded by not your culture, so you have to try and you have to try and compensate somehow for that. So you try your best, and that's all you can do. So for those families who are still working on it, that's okay. And for those who have it great, or who think that the kids might not be able to speak the English, don't worry about it. That they're definitely not. They're surrounded by English, so that is not an issue.
Well, so I have to take my hat off to you, because I really like the approach that you've taken with because there's so many books out there, really. There are the dictionaries, there are Twi books. I was even in a Zoom yesterday about us not writing in our own languages, like at an academic level, is what I'm trying to say. And also, as somebody from the diaspora, the impact that has on your identity and feelings of belonging. And they do say that language is the gateway into another culture. Would you agree with that?
I think yes. I think language is definitely a bridge to one's culture, whether it is through your parents or you were born there directly. It's definitely a gateway. It doesn't make you fully that person. So in this case of, you can learn Twi, but it doesn't make you necessarily Ghanaian. It's not just the only thing that makes you Ghanaian, but I think it's definitely a bridge to that person's culture and self-awareness of who they are and where they come from.
Okay.
Definitely, yeah.
So you've been around since 2009, you said. Yes. Tell us about the response that you've had from people who bought the books.
So for those who bought my book, I always get great reviews. The coloring book is actually the most popular, which is so that the alphabet book, the alphabet early learning reading book is I think my number 2 best, but then the coloring book is the number 1. I think the interaction as of the parents with the kids, I think, is what's driving up that popularity. But so far, good reviews. And hopefully the more people will get it, and the kids will love it. And if there's any feedback in terms of what they think can make it better, make it more interactive, I'm always open to updating it. So but so far so good.
Brilliant. Yeah. So some of us are not in the US. I'm guessing Amazon is the way to source the book, but are there any other your website and then Amazon? Sorry.
Yeah, so so I do have a page on Amazon. So it's amazon.com/Alikobooks, or you can just go to alikobooks.com, get more background information on the books, and they can click on the link and it will take them to our Amazon store page. I'm working on getting some of the books in Ghanaian stores, so I'll definitely let people know. It's just a little hard, getting it from here, there, and so on and so forth. But I'm definitely working on it, and hopefully maybe by the end of the year or early next year, with COVID and everything, we can try and get some books over there as well, because I have some people asking how they can purchase it there. But unfortunately, right now it's not available in Ghana. You have to, if you know somebody in the States or in UK or anywhere else, and that can purchase it, they can do that and they can mail it to them. But for now, it's not available.
Are you even surprised that people in Ghana are looking for it, where, that's the source of the language?
Yes and no, because I know, like I mentioned, my first book that I published was a cookbook, and it was actually it was very popular in Ghana. So I figured that a lot of people in Ghana also be interested in this, because I haven't really seen a lot of this type of book in Ghana, in bookstores anyway, unless I haven't been there in a while, but this type of book I haven't seen in a while in Ghana. So I'm hoping, and so the response of, hey, can we buy it in Ghana? I thought that was great, but again, trying to get it there has been the issue. So I'm hoping.
I guess what I meant was that's where people speak the language, and you would hope that the children would know the language in Ghana. So is there a demand for it? But obviously
I think there's a demand for it, because unfortunately there are some people in Ghana who don't teach their children the native language. So I think having this would be a start. I think there are even places that teach the language to both children and adults in Ghana. So those are all popping up now. So I think the whole language thing is becoming a little what's the word I'm looking for? Popular. It's becoming more popular in Ghana now. But again, I think having books like this will also help as well. It's a start. So again, I'm working on getting it there, and hopefully by the end of this year or next year.
Brilliant. So what's next for the series? Because you've got the alphabet, the numbers, the coloring book. In the what?
And the what's that? Yeah. So I am still working on it, not sure, but right now we're kind of focusing on the books that we have, as well as we just launched some puzzles. So that's something else that we're kind of trying to let people be aware of, because the whole thing about Alikobooks is not the whole thing, sorry, is mostly is about publishing content with culture. And so not just the books, but anything else that can focus on Ghanaian culture. So in the case of the puzzles, we're showcasing mostly artwork and photography by renowned Ghanaian artists. So that's kind of where we are with that. So I'm kind of doing the puzzles and then the books, and then maybe later on, I'll bring up another book in the What's That series, or just another book altogether. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in trio. My next book could be all English, but it would be more of a storybook instead of an early learning book. But yeah.
I should have asked you, do you have examples of your puzzles? Because I'm interested to know which artists you've featured.
So this one, I don't know if you can see. This is actually a photograph by Yao Parry, and this is actually a tire garden in a children's park in Accra. Actually.
Oh, nice! Is that F. West Sutherland?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. That's it. Yeah. And then this one is called the Royal, upside down. The Royal Horn Blowers. As you can see, there are 2 horn blowers.
Yeah.
And this is by an artist called Richard Owusu. Yeah. So,
okay. So what age group are these puzzles for?
This is for, really it's for anybody. It's 504 pieces. So if you can do 504 piece puzzle, it's really for anybody.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So yeah, if your children are interested, or you as an adult are interested, a puzzle is a great way to de-stress your mind, and also just have fun. Like, you can do it as an individual. You can do it with friends, with family. I did this one with my then 5-year-old. He was 5, he just turned 6, so he loves puzzles. So, or you can just do it by yourself. But I find it for me, I love puzzles because it de-stresses me. Yeah. Right? Because you're focused just on the puzzles. You're not thinking about anything else. It's just finding the next piece. So for me, it's a way to relax.
And you're learning about contemporary art as well in Ghana. I think that's great, because I don't feel like we know enough about what's happening currently, So that's brilliant. And you mentioned that actually your first book was a cookbook.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was how many years ago? Was that at the beginning?
That was the first one. That was 2000. That was 2009. So it's been a while. Okay. 2008, 2009. So that is still available in ebook version. I don't have the hard copies anymore. Maybe I'll republish it later. But right now it's just the ebook version, but it's still available again on the Amazon store page. So yeah.
So that was looking at different types of Ghanaian meals.
Yes. So it took me a couple of years to actually do it because I had to test each recipe multiple times and write it the way that somebody who has never cooked, first of all, food, but never cooked Ghanaian food. You know how Ghanaians we cook,
Yeah.
Because normally before when you ask somebody, how do you do this? Oh, take some rice, take some tomatoes. And it's like, what is some? What is that? So this was very precise. You need X amount of cups of this, 5 ounces of that, and so on and so forth. So it was very a modern cookbook, and it has everything from breakfast to soups to stews, to baked goods, to even sweets, how to make the toffee from the, condensed milk, everything,
Oh, wow.
So we have pound fufu to plantains, how to boil plantains. People don't even know how to do that. So it's just, a great combination of different foods that I grew up, and obviously it doesn't include all the many lovely Ghanaian foods that we have, but it's the foods that I know and I know how to cook. And so I tested it and I wrote it down and people loved it.
Brilliant.
So, yeah.
Well, you're very, very busy and quite diverse things that you're working on as well.
Yes. So I'm hoping to, put Ghana on the map in a good light.
Yeah.
And hopefully people will go visit it and so this is kind of almost like a gateway to hopefully their next step will be to Ghana, just to kind of learn a bit about the culture, a little bit about the language, about the artwork, the great artists that we have, and then they can actually go there and experience it, because Ghana has such a beautiful culture. We have so many artists. I see all these beautiful artwork, and so we just have to help them get their names out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So my final question to you that I've been asking everyone is, what does being Ghanaian mean to you?
I think it's definitely the language, being able to communicate with family back there, even something as simple as the mannerisms. I remember I went to a birthday party a while ago, and I saw 2 older gentlemen playing checkers. But everybody plays checkers differently. But when you see a Ghanaian playing checkers, that we have extra force when we move the board. So I was like, oh, that took me back. So different mannerisms of how we do things, say things, the food, all of that. It's about being Ghanaian. Even the food, I love the fruits. Even our fruits. When I drink coconut water here, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to get real coconut in Ghana. So it's all those different little aspects that together for me, I think, make it.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Do you want to just drop your social media details and your website if people want to find out more?
Yes. So you can find information about my books and puzzles at www.alikobooks, ALIKOBOOKS.com, or our Amazon store, which is www.amazon.com/Alikobooks. I'm also on Instagram at Alikobooks, and Facebook Alikobooks.
Awesome.
And yes. So thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you. I always learn from these interviews, and I really like the way that you've structured the book. I think it's even relevant for older people, Correct. us who want to learn, just the way that you've structured it. And I guess that's a springboard for more later, when the children are older and they want to sort of learn how to communicate more in a more complicated way, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So so I always say it's for children, but as an adult, even if you want to go and go as your first trip to Ghana, or you have family over there, but you kind of want to start learning a little bit, even just a few words, that'll be a great book for you to just kind of know your numbers or a few words or something like that. So it's really for everybody. It's all encompassing. So it's
brilliant. So thanks so much for your time. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Identity series, a collection of profiles that explores what being Ghanaian means to you. To listen to more podcasts like this,
Visit www.akadimagazine.com. Thank you.